This channel right here, or ditch I should say, is where I will be running a natural gas line buried. I have a gas line that I've run, and yes, it's been leak tested and everything's good to go, code compliant, coming out of my house where you see the yellow cap. That is a 1-inch pipe, which I've sized according to the BTU usage of my generator. And since I'm going to be putting a fire pit in and I want to have it dual use, I want to be able to burn fire, wood in the pit primarily, but then I also want to be able to put a portable, which I have a 2-foot portable natural gas, or propane really, / convert it to natural gas fire pit that I want to be able to set inside of my wood burning fire pit when I'm not burning wood. So I'm planning on running a gas line and then have it come up just outside of the wood burning fire pit, so that when I want to hook up the portable one, it'll be really close to hook up. Now, of course, since the cutoff, which, well, we'll have a cutoff on both ends, but so there will only be natural gas in it whenever this actual cutoff is open here, which as it's closed right now, which there's a smaller one next to it that I'm not using. So that way there won't be natural gas in this line most of the time. The code around here is they go with the International Fuel Code, or International Gas Code you call it, which requires a 12-inch minimum depth, which seems kind of shallow to me given that electrical is 18 inches. So I'm putting it 18 inches down, and actually in some spots it's even more towards 20 and even towards 2 foot almost, so that my riser will come up where I want it to come up to join the existing pipe. And then I will go back and I'm going to sleeve a lot of it and or put sand in. The part where it goes under the gravel I want to sleeve it, which means I'm going to be putting in a 2-inch PVC pipe just to make sure it doesn't get damaged in any way by the gravel working its way down over time. And then in other areas where I have connectors, I will probably just put them in sand to make sure everything's nice and smooth, so there's nothing that could penetrate or puncture the line in any way. This was a lot of fun. There's nothing fun about digging. It is just back-breaking work. I'm in the process of building a paver patio with a fire pit, which the fire pit will be there. That riser is way above the ground because the ground will be built up about 15-16 inches where that riser currently is. So even though now it's only a few inches underground, it will be about 16 inches under. International Fuel Gas Code, which is what my city goes by, specifies gas line has to be no less than 12 inches below the ground if it goes underground. And you don't want to put black pipe underground because of the rust issue. That's why they always use these poly pipes, polyethylene. Bought this kit from Home Depot. I'll link to that. Gives you the polyethylene line, connectors. I had to add a 3-way, went and bought a 3-way connector from Home Depot and an extra riser to tee off to the shed. Because the ground is pretty rocky, I went ahead and sleeved most of this in a 2-inch PVC. It's required if it's in an area that you could possibly have rocks or anything that could damage the line, that the line be sleeved. So I went a little bit further. I went ahead and sleeved from here all the way down, especially where it's going to be underneath the gravel. If the gravel ever migrates for whatever reason, that way it'll be protected. At the areas where I don't have sleeving, like right here, I'm going to put down, right now it's just sitting off of the ground, but it has to be level against the ground, smooth on the ground. I'm going to put some sand under that and some potting soil that I got that's sifted, that doesn't have any rocks or anything in it, and then that's what's going to go around that line. I'll show that. That's going to go around that line just to make sure it has something soft underneath or not rocky underneath and over it as well. Every town, municipality, city, whatever, where you live is going to be different when it comes to requirements for running gas line. Some areas require that it has to be done by a licensed gas installer, and the permit has to be pulled by a gas installer. Other areas will let you pull your own permit and do your own work as long as the inspector can verify that your work is done safely and according to code and properly pressure tested. Most areas use the International Fuel Gas Code, which can be found online. It goes without saying, however, that if you get into doing gas line work, you need to know what you're doing, do it safely, and make sure it's properly permitted and inspected by your area so that you don't have any problems or issues arise, so it's done safely. One note I would make on these cutoffs, the cutoff that I have here, they recommend when you're doing these pressure tests that you leave the cutoff open and cap it like I've done. But I could have used this particular cutoff because this cutoff here is actually rated for 200 psi. So obviously 10 psi wouldn't hurt it one bit. However, anytime you hook a gas line up to anything, especially if it's indoors like an appliance or anything like that, those valves are not rated to handle more than about a half psi. So in that case, you have to make sure that the valves are isolated, that they are not hooked up to the line when it's pressure tested. Time to bury all this.